Alright, so here's my new bike. I just got it earlier this week. Yamaha XSR900. No, not really a 900. It's actually a 847 3-cylinder inline 3 cross-plane engine. Yamaha's cross-plane. So XSR 850. So this is what it looks like. This is the matte gray color, obviously, but they shouldn't have called it matte gray. They should have called it, they should have called it what it is. It's basically it's a brush aluminum. So you guys can see that. See how it's the brush color. So it's obviously it's not it doesn't have a gloss to it. So that's why they call it matte. But instead of calling it matte gray, you should have said, just call it brush aluminum. That would have described it a much better description. So anyways, so here it is. Front. So round headlights, right? That's what gives it that retro look. Even though this is definitely not a retro bike, I don't even think it's style-wise. I don't even think it's retro. It looks more like I would probably call it a a neo retro, maybe neo retro. Round headlights, round tail lights in the back. It's a LED. A lot of people don't like it. This is sort of the round tail light and headlight is actually used on some of Yamaha's other bikes too. They're mostly the cruiser bikes. They're I guess it's what they call them, boat or star or something like that. Really, this is not really a retro bike. It's a new retro, I would say. There's a few cues that makes it sort of retro-ish. The round lights, front and back, and these little bits right here and there. A couple little bits here and there, but really, it's not a retro bike. Everything's modern about it. It really is a standard. Some people call them naked bikes or street fighters. I don't like those terms. Those are just fads, I think. Really, this is a standard, a Japanese standard. What was say UJM, Universal Japanese Motorcycle, more or less, right? So this bike's very torquey for what it is. Surprisingly, really torquey. Great power. The different power settings. I think watching other videos, you guys will know that. So I'm not gonna cover too much about that. But it really is very torquey. B mode is it's basically the docile mode, the rain mode, if you will. Standard is just standard. A mode is very snappy, instant. It's instant on. Just barely give it throttle and it takes off. So it sort of feels like it's gonna pull your arm sockets out, almost, not completely, but pretty close. And there's also traction control. So traction control 1 and 2. 2 would be rain mode, I think. And one is less a little bit less interference with traction. Then you could also turn off the traction control. Things I like about this bike is that underbelly exhaust. How it's that it's nice and tucked underneath there. It gives it that low center of gravity. Gives it the low center of gravity. Also, the exhaust is mostly out of the way, right? This one has, this one comes standard with ABS, so you can see the ABS ring there. So it also has ABS. So it's pretty modern, I would say. There's the ABS ring right in there. There's the ABS sensor. It has all the modern stuff. Traction control, power setting, ABS and all that stuff. The bad thing with this is that you can't turn off the ABS. It's always on, unfortunately. I would like to be able to turn off the ABS, but anyways, for certain conditions, sometimes you might, if you're traveling around on a bike, you might have to hit up a dirt road every once in a while, and with ABS, you won't be able to stop on a dirt road. And that's just one example. Let's see. Let's turn this thing on so you guys can see. Get on this side. Well, let's look at the sticker right here real quick. So there's a sticker, and you notice down here, premium unleaded. This is the US, so this is the standard we use. R plus M over 2, which is for us is 91 octane. In some other countries, our version of 91 octane for them would be 95 or 97 or something like that. That's where the R and M and whatever else comes in. But anyways, so basically premium unleaded only, or super unleaded, wherever whatever gas station you choose from. Other things too. Here is the signal lights. These things are ginormous. One of the bigger signal lights for sure. So what I definitely want to do is tidy up this tail right here. So this is actually not that bad, this tail here, but it's still kind of big, right? So I'm gonna get it so that the license plate, instead of being right here, it's right underneath right underneath the fender here, right underneath the light, and the rest of this will go away. I'm gonna keep the signal lights there. Eventually, I don't know if I will or not change these out. Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. All right. So let's turn the on switch or the keys right here. Let's look at this real quick. So it has a gear indicator, so that's cool right there, and it actually tells you, a number instead of just neutral. Obviously, the fuel. Right now, traction control is number 2. Mode is B. I'm gonna leave it in those for breaking it in, so that way I don't bring the rev up too fast. But here you see the indicators. Traction control indicator. This is ABS, check engine light, overheat temperature, oil pressure, left turn indicator, neutral indicator, high beam, and right indicator. So let's see what else is in here. It has a clock, right? So these 2 buttons are basically going one direction or the other. So let's see, right now the clock, odometer, so I only have 49 miles. Then trip 1, distance trip 1, trip 2. This is miles per gallon. So this is live, basically real-time miles per gallon. This is average miles per gallon. So far I got 45, not too bad. Low, that's this is I believe this is temperature, coolant temperature. So it actually gives you an actual temperature once it gets up into like 100 and something, 120 or something like that, and it actually start reading the actual temperature. Let's see, it also gives you air temperature, which is kind of cool too. I like that. So this thing is pretty fancy. So back to the time. All right, let's turn it on. It's on. Another cool thing about this is that the ignition is on, but the light is off. So that way, it doesn't take up all the juice like a lot of bikes that do. Actually, let's go over the controls real quick. I like these controls because they're very, these are high quality controls. They're very tactile. Oops. Ooh, that's pretty loud. So they're very tactile. So I like that. This is the traction control right here. To adjust it, 1 or 2, to change the traction control, all you need to do is you could actually be moving as long as you are off the throttle. Then you could change it. The only time that you could turn it off or on, if it's off or on, you actually need to be stopped. But from adjusting from 1 and 2, you could still be moving as long as you're off the throttle. It has a passing flashing your headlights or high beams for passing. That's kind of rare in the US. Usually it's Europe and Asia that has that feature. Let's go up to this side. So the starter button here is a little different here. So this is up is kill switch, down is run. Then if you want to start, you actually push this thing all the way down. But before I do that, let's look at this other stuff. Mode. This is the mode A, B, and standard for the fueling. And here, this is cool right here. This is your emergency light, right? So that's something that a lot of US bikes don't have, but European and Asian bikes, US market bikes don't have, but European and Asian market bikes usually have this. So anyways, let's start her up. So I'm in neutral and just push this down. Oops. Why is it not starting? In neutral, blah, blah, blah. Oh, there it is. Now the headlight's back on, right? How it sounds. The sound is somewhat between an inline 4 and a parallel twin, I think. Somewhere in there. This thing's pretty quiet. So it's pretty quiet. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm not gonna change nothing really, except for that little tail right here. So yeah, I'm not gonna change nothing except for that tail. But anyways, so that's the bike. So it's been a while since I had a big bike. This one's 430 pounds, so it's still pretty light considering its size, engine size. But still, it's still almost 100 pounds more than my 300, or well, my 286, I should say, my CB. So it's kind of heavy pushing it around, and it's a little on the tall side. I have a 30-inch inseam, so it feels a little tall for just sitting there, not moving. While I'm moving, it feels great. Feels fine. It's very roomy. So and I'm only about 5'7", so it feels very roomy for me. Plenty of space. Even sometimes it sort of feels like I almost have to reach for the handlebars almost. So for people that are taller, you guys should fit this thing perfectly. So yeah, that's the bike. Oh, other cool things about this bike is that it has preload adjustment and rebound adjustment. So that's for the forks and the shocks. Has both preload and rebound. So that's the other cool thing about a more expensive bike. And lastly, what I think is also important right here. You guys see that? Let's see if I can focus in onto that. So made in Japan, right? And also I am number 24. So 24th one. All right, so there you have it. Yamaha XSR900. Thanks for watching.